What's going on, everybody? It is the Willie Ashford from the Black Culture Podcast. I know you're ready to get into this interview, but before you do,
make sure that you like and subscribe to our channel on YouTube, Apple, Google, and Spotify at the Black Culture Podcast. And
also follow us on Facebook, Instagram, and Twitter at the Black Culture Podcast.
Peace.
So, high school, you became a dog, and that landed you. And before we hop into college, I just got one question, and Will, you chime in on this too. I don't know, I'm calling you Will. You freaking calling you Will. Willie.
Yeah, Willie.
I'm sorry.
Willie?
Most people call me Willie, don't matter.
Looking back now, you know, seeing that was a ticket, a way out, what would you tell kids, black kids today? What was this, like 30 years ago, I presume?
Yeah. First thing is, speed is the most important thing to have. Right? It's uncoachable. So if you have speed, cherish it and nurture it. So don't poison your body. You got the rest of your life to drink, smoke, party. Keep that body right while you're young. It'll take away from that speed. You can get big, you know. The next part of it is, if you want to go to the league, you can go to any school and go to the league, right? The key is to go to the school that makes you happy and that you're going to play at, right? And lastly, it's just a game. Like, so it is slavery. Keep that in mind.
And which is, let's hop into that, because you played at the college level. So I played football. I didn't play until high school. I didn't play until ninth grade. And I told you the story this morning. A friend of mine had a football family. Like, they were, the father at Heights set the record for most touchdowns in the game. His son, who was my best friend's cousin, came behind and broke it. Like, that's how good they were.
Father awards?
Starks. Okay. Yeah, the Starks. So father scored 5 touchdowns in the game. Son came behind him and scored 6. Like, that's, and I was there when he scored those 6 touchdowns. Man, dude, when I tell you, this dude, you talking about legs, like, it was so difficult to touch Tim Starks, man. And he was like 5. No, I think he's about 6 feet now. But even that time, he wasn't fully grown. But just watching him play, man, it was just like, it was just no contest. Us playing other schools, man, it was just crazy to watch that. But he's the reason why I got into it. My father said, so back then I used to wear these thick glasses. I got picked on as a kid. They called me Steve Urkel. What's the weather gonna be tomorrow? Like, you know, all that type of stuff. My dad said, if you play football, and mind you, I wasn't a football dude. I didn't even watch football. I watched basketball. My father said, if you play football, I'll buy you contact lenses. Football became my new favorite sport. So went out for football. Wasn't
smart dad.
Yo, man, smart son. Because that's when things got real for me. But obviously, I wasn't a stud athlete. I was just kind of out there. I think I scored 1 touchdown my whole career, but it taught me a lot. And so what I want to ask you is that transition from high school going into college, and the conversation that we had, especially about compensation. I want to know your experience, and Willie, feel free to chime in on this, because this is something that you and I talk about too. What was your experience, and what would you have changed?
Oh man, so I would say that the first thing I would say is that I would have gone either A, to Ohio State, or B, to a black college. The first thing is that there was something that I was searching for as a young man, that I was never going to find in Minnesota, and that gave me problems in Minnesota. Second off is that
Minnesota.
I had mental health issues that I don't think, as a kid, I ever really dealt with, or even on a collegiate level, they weren't equipped to deal with. And in finding knowledge itself, you wouldn't necessarily call that a mental health issue, but it is. For a young black man, you have to figure out who you are, and everyone's trying to make you a certain thing. So in one sense, Minnesota was the greatest experience I'd ever had, because I was away from mom, reinventing myself again, right? And I'm playing as a true freshman. I'm having a good time. The coaches got fired, so a new set of coaches came in, and that kind of changed everything. Mm-hmm. It changed how they view you as an athlete because they didn't really recruit you. And then I have always been somewhat of a militant, pro-black type of dude. Mm-hmm. And back then, it ain't like today, right, where all this is cool. Back then, like I said, having a goatee was a conversation you had to have with your coach about your right as a black man to not have to shave. And they would be like, no, we want you to be clean cut. And it's like, why is this not clean cut? Who are you to tell me? You know what I mean? Getting dreads, and I have to cut my dreads every year before football starts because you can't have dreads. So I just really felt controlled. And my way of, probably my way of dealing with that was to lash out and really just be an animal. You put anybody in a certain situation, they will become an animal. And so I found myself, because of the sport, number one, the sport is asking you to be violent. How do you turn that on and off, right? And then I felt disconnected in a way from my hood, my people here. So I'm around certain cats I probably shouldn't be around, but they from the street, so I feel comfortable with them. Well, I don't feel comfortable with my own teammates because they from like Texas and places like that. I wasn't rocking with them. We weren't getting along. I didn't drink. At the time I was like a 5% Muslim, so I'm on some whole different shit. They praying to Jesus. I want to pray with them. I'm like, nah, man, I ain't praying with you. Can't make me pray to you, Jesus. And not to say that it was wrong. I think at the time for me, I was searching for something, and they could not and did not provide the support that I needed mentally and emotionally. They provided physical support. I got big, I got fast, I got strong, but they never once stopped and was like, he's unhappy. All right. And I think the struggle with most college or professional athletes is you doing all this stuff for other people. I never really was into sports like that. I'm still not. No one, I might have been damn near 35 before I even went to watch the sporting event.
Wow.
I'm an artist. I'm into art. I go to art shows. I go to galleries. I go listen to music. I don't need to go see men beat each other up for 4 hours.
And I'm glad you brought that up because that's what I'm wondering. Going to college on a football scholarship, when did art come into play where you started to pursue film?
It was always there. I started writing. I wrote my first one-act play when I was like probably 10. So I was already into it, like in my own way. It wasn't for others. Most artists in the beginning is for you. You make art for you. I make art for me. I don't. The fan or the people that get to view it, they're just lucky I'm sharing it. It's not for them, right? Most artists, it's for us. We want to get whatever's in here out so we can see it, we can hear it. You get to enjoy it with us because it's physical now. But it was driving me crazy for 3 years in my head, so I'm trying to get it out of my head, right? So I started writing plays and drawing comic books at a really young age. And then I would take all my toys and just,
act them out.
Dude, act them out. Take them apart, bro. I had G.I. Joe with 4 arms, or 2. You know what I'm saying? I took He-Man and broke him all apart. He was black He-Man. We had painted his ass. So I was just into, and that's why I think teachers, I go back to black males. They confuse our creativity with mental illness. So while I'm in class drawing pictures or writing stuff, I remember teachers showed I drew out like back then. It's right when X-Men. Remember, X-Men wasn't that popular. It was right when they got popular, right? That happened in my lifetime. Before that, they didn't mess with X-Men. That was like some hippie shit, right? So they got popular, and I was drawing this piece, and like I made a black Wolverine and some other shit. It was like one of the dudes that has the X on his eye. He had a gun that he carried, so I drew this weird type of gun. Man, the teachers are talking about when your son's drawing violence, and I'm thinking, it's from a comic book. So I go back to the artist being confused. So it was always there in the hood. When I was real young, I was embarrassed to show it to people. So like I would throw volumes of poetry away because it just wasn't cool. So other cats would, Going back to the gay comments, people go, oh man, you gay for doing that. I played the flute. I gotta stop playing the flute because cats was pressing me on that. So a lot of times in our urban area, we can't even be ourselves because cats are pressing you about what is masculine and what is black. Right? So I'll go back to when we went to the suburbs, nobody was pressing me on what was black. I told them what was black. I told them what was hot. You feel me? So I realized that I could do that I had the power to dictate what blackness was. So I kept writing and keeping it to myself. And honestly, that's how I got the chicks.
You think that was like part of like your stress too, not being able to
Hell yeah.
Because like
they wouldn't even let me be around them.
what you said now, that still goes on.
Yes.
Like that's nothing that just happened back in the day. And I think like we talked about in the beginning, if it's not football or basketball, you feel like you have no talent, and that's not true.
Well,
like,
you're demonized.
Exactly.
Yeah.
So it's like, yo, like it's people write poetry. That's a stress reliever. That's a way to clear your mind, get your thought. It's also a talent. Like everybody, if it wasn't a talent, I feel like everybody would be able to do it. Everybody can't write poetry.
Let me tell you about poetry, man. That's how I met my wife. Right? I'm not regardless of what people think, I'm a very shy person. I'm actually a very quiet person. Right? You have to know how to make yourself speak if you're trying to command things. But that doesn't mean you're into speaking. That's people confused. They go, that's your personality. That's not even my personality. That's just what I'm showing you. My actual personality is not what I'm showing you. I'm old enough to give you what you need at this moment, right? But in reality, I like to be very quiet, hanging out by myself, doing my thing. So I wrote my wife poetry for 6 months before she would give me a date. That's how I met her. So had I listened to the hood, you know what I mean, and cut off the pieces of me that was valuable to me, or had I listened to the college dudes who was saying, why you with this weirdo with green hair? I'm like, well, he's a great actor. Oh, don't be around them weirdos, Marquette. You need to be around your teammates. So you would rather me leave these artists who fucking love me and are nurturing me in here and be around a bunch of dudes. A couple of them is rapists, violent, stealing, fucked up dudes on drugs. You want me to be with these dudes because you believe black men are animals anyway. You ain't never told your white boys that. When the white boy said, oh man, I'm taking this trigonometry class and I'm gonna be gone all summer, I'm going to Europe to learn about such and such, you didn't stop him.
Yep. And also too, because I have a question I want to ask you too, but I would just want to add this on. You know how a lot of people express themselves the way they dress. They like to fashion. That's another thing of art.
It is.
And in our community, like yo, you dressing like that, like yo, like, and that's another way of people express themselves. But I feel like, do you feel like because it's not in every public school, I don't know what public school you have drama in. I took drama when I was in 8th grade. I went to School of the Arts.
Great school.
And I feel like if we had those type of classes in Kennedy and Adams, that's more avenue, because you would be surprised how many kids actually want to get into it but don't have the resource or don't have the outlet to get into it. Do you feel like it'd be be less of our people locked up or out selling if they had the avenue, because that's another way to express yourself?
I couldn't even state it any better than you just
Yeah, I was thinking about that.
Man, like, I mean, if people that know me, like grew up with me, I was nice with my hands. I was out here. I've been out here. I'm not a dude you run up on like that. My homies will tell you, like, there's another side that is the artist who was not allowed to be an artist. You know, and it's easy to go that way because that's acceptable, right? It's acceptable to be a bully or a brute in the ghetto, right? I might joke right now, when I left here, you might know one female, and it's because she had a skin or hair disorder, or she had cancer. Because there was a relationship between young women, older women, and elders that really was done through grooming. Right? Almost all that knowledge happened between nanny's legs. You sat there and got your hair, boys and girls, and you got knowledge, you got hygiene, you got it all right then. The thing I'm concerned with is hygiene and just being cattle, following people blindly. what I see the biggest change in urban America is we, as black people, are supposed to set a tone for what is righteous. That's the Martin Luther King weight. You put that on your shoulders, you gotta do it, right? You're supposed to speak truth to power. That's the Malcolm X weight, right? You're supposed to have real logic. That's the Angela Davis weight. You're supposed to have knowledge of self, right? That's a Stokely Carmichael weight, right? You're supposed to build your community, right? That's the Honorable Elijah Muhammad's weight. These are historical things. You're supposed to be financially independent of the system. That's that Marcus Garvey way. These are historical things that are built into black communities as mantras. They are passed down from generations. You can get a slave recording. He will tell you not to mess with credit, don't be fashionable, don't care what people think. He couldn't even read, right? So the reality of it is, today, we are so afraid to be unique. Would drama help? Yes. I don't even care about acting. With literacy, bro, our black people can't read right now, and all the knowledge is in the books. There's a reason why they don't want you to read. There's a reason why you are sending emails with the same emojis on a text message. This is a 50-year-old man sending me an emoji. Come on, fam, get with it. So there's that. There's trauma that our people have, that we receive on every single day, just because we are ostracized by the way that we look, right? So they need to have that expression for that. There's a level of inner self exploration that happens with drama, right? But I think to take it even further, everybody should have to take drama, you should have to take public speaking, you should have to take yoga, and you should have to take several art courses while you're in school, not just a few.
Public speaking is important too,
All of them.
because it's people that, and we talked about this, school is so-called supposed to get you ready for the real world or whatever they say, but yeah, it's people that graduate, they still have to reprogram themselves once they get there, because
Man.
it's like, really, what did you get us ready for the real world? Because I know a lot of people like just now like have to train themselves to slow down when they talk, to be comfortable when they talk. People started sweating like.
No, dude, I stuttered for years.
Yeah.
I mean, most people are not comfortable with talking with someone outside of their culture.
Yeah.
That keeps us imprisoned in cultural, social moments that are comfortable, right? If we go back to the young lady that did the sprinter we were talking about, and she's my favorite sprinter. Let me just be clear. Okay, little LSU girl, I'm with you. Sometimes you gotta take it on the chin. Sometimes you gotta take it on the chin. You make a mistake, own that shit, sit. There'll be another Olympics. You'll be just as fast. But all this excuses that people are making for someone else purely based on the fact, black people, we don't need no more excuses. We need direct access and get the fuck out of my way.
I'm sorry, Willie, did you have something?
No.
You said something a few minutes ago that I don't want to skip past. You were talking about how black boys are taught to think when, you were in class, you were drawing, you were just basically expressing your creative genius. How important is it to have black male teachers?
I want to say something that's not PC at all. It's very important that we have heterosexual black male teachers.
Okay.
So right now, because I do work in the school systems, there's so much emphasis on trans and gay and lesbian situations. I'm not trying to take from that, but it really needs, you can't teach these things without teaching tolerance, right? So black males need to be in environments of tolerance first. Before you start going to these subgroups that are contained within the black male. He's all those groups. He gay, he trans, it's all in there, right? Let's just deal with fucking him straight ahead. So he needs males and not perfect males. So example, we when I started the training stuff for film, it came from black people here asking me why they weren't working. And it's hard to tell somebody you don't really have the experience, but they were working in the industry before you were, right? So it's like, you got me by 10 years in the game, but you don't know nothing, right? Because you've been locked into this place that hasn't allowed you to grow, right? So I've been having all these experiences that you've not been having, but you brought me into the game, right? So we started writing these things, and then eventually we started testing them in high schools. So we went down to the high school, and the best thing about being an artist is you just don't believe when anybody tells you. That's the best thing about being an artist, man. You tell me something negative, my nature, my actual nature is to go, I wonder if that's true. Does shit stink when you step in it? I wonder if that's true. It's not to say I don't believe you like that in a weird kind of way. It's to say that we like to voyeuristically experience things. Trust but verify, right? So when we got to the school, the first thing I noticed right away was that the black men that were paid by these school systems were either A, incredibly educated and incredibly non-threatening, B, they were gay. Now I understand that this is, the educational system is an environment that in a lot of ways employs a ton of women, and they need to be safe. I'm not here to knock that, right? However, I'm sitting in a session with a young boy he's from a 6-0 Crip hood, daddy in the pen, brothers all in the pen, best friend got murdered the year before, right? And they bring in the social worker. Nothing against social worker. I like the dude. We cool, we kick it, we chop it up all the time. Social worker come in, got his little skinny pants, skinny, well, dress clothes though. That's how it works. We got skinny jean plaid pants on, just flooding, tighter than tight. Got on like a red, salmon. Salmon shirt tucked in, looking real fresh. Now, on a New York, Greenwich Village, Friday night, boy dressed right, homie. He gonna get all whatever he trying to get. In the middle of 60th and Western, with a kid who is khakied up and blued up, ain't gonna have, this is not the dude to be talking to little homie about his problems. Cause he gonna hit him with a bunch of textbook shit. Well, when your father, well, he really ain't my father. When the male of the house, well, he really don't live with us. When that guy is abusive to your mother, you should call the police and have the police come and deal with that. Now this boy knows his mama on papers, his brothers is on papers. They come to the house, everybody going to jail, and he gonna go to a home, and it's gonna be a home way out in the middle of the desert where he gonna be banging with a bunch of Mexican kids. But you don't know that because this ain't your world. So what we need is what I say is that kids can identify bullshit much better than adults can, because kids are liars. So a person who lives in fantasy can identify fantasy when they see it. So what these kids need is a dude who's been a little dirty, not filthy. See, in the 80s we needed dudes who
can relate.
Can relate. Because in the 80s we needed dudes who had done some shit to tell us, like, yo, I did 10 years, man. Don't fuck with the penitentiary. They up there raping men and stabbing and killing. You gonna be a Fifi bag. Dude, I said, what's a Fifi bag? He explained what a Fifi bag was. They wanted to go. That's all. You gotta make sexual toys out of bags. Put a little jelly in so it tastes good in a Fifi bag. You feel what I'm saying, bro? This is some animalistic shit. So that scared me away. So we don't need any more of that scary stuff.
You look
right? No, it was deep, dude. You sitting with your big uncle. Your uncle explaining to you, and he's a big out of prison dude. And he's showing you what the Fifi is. And he explained to you, I can make one look just like a vagina. And you just sitting there going, but it's not, huh? He was out for maybe 30 days, went back. So they don't need any more of keeping it real. They've had so much keeping it real, they are overdosing on reality. That's why they don't have any sense of dreaming. They eat so much reality, which isn't even real, which is funny because in the hood, most people in the hood don't sell drugs. Most people in the hood commit no crimes. Most people in the hood just can't find better jobs to pay more money to them. That's what's ailing them, but it's depicted a certain way. So I would say black males who have some experiences, and they can be equally educated, but you need to dress them a certain way. Stop having these cats come in here looking just like the probation officer. looking just like the detective.
Mm-hmm.
Bring the dude in with the. When I came to the kids, I knew I had the J's on. I got the Nipsey shirt on, so I know where I'm at, and I'm chopping it with them. And I'm not banging their head with, well, you know, some of history. When the first time of the year, the camera measures the light, and that's how you record it. I'm not doing all that, man. That shit don't matter. If you really love it, you'll get that in college. Just tell me your story, Shaniqua, because I want to hear it. First she came in and was twerking. Mr. Williams, look at that. Don't you like that? I said, man, you 13. That's disgusting to me. And any man that tell you that's fresh, he's a pervert. Any real man would not be looking at kids the same age of his own.
Right.
There ain't nothing sexual about a 13-year-old girl, to me.
No.
Ain't no R. Kelly over here, dog.
No.
You's a baby. Be a baby. Stay a baby. You got the rest of your life for men to lust after you.
That's another
You know what I mean?
pandemic right there. Our young girls, man, they're over sexualized too freaking fast, and they don't have a man. Just like you said, it's a baby. You a 13-year-old, stay a 13-year-old.
But they see the issue is that's the only time they catch a vibe from somebody. When you are invisible in society, right? These boys walking around looking like male prostitutes, their asses hanging out. Y'all done seen it now? Come on.
Right.
I never understood that, man.
But they selling something. Well, they may not be telling dudes like us what they doing, but like my brother said, I know what they doing. I looked at my brother, what you mean? He goes, come on, man.
And a lot of them don't know that originated in prison.
Man, that's hold my pocket.
Right.
Hold my pocket. So I think the reality of it is the expressions, like we talked about with drama, they need to express themselves in an environment that's safe. They need to be able to express themselves from a genuine space, right? So when she said, oh, she wanted to shoot these little twerking videos, my reply was, you are coming up to your teacher with the cojones to show me some twerking on your Instagram. You got balls, girl. You really are intelligent. You arguing with me in class on femininity and sisterhood. You telling me Cardi B's good for you. I'm not saying she's not actually like Cardi now. Right?
Shaman.
Right. Well, I think Cardi has a place. And I think we have to accept that they've created these slots that they let people fill.
And it's always a black woman. If you look after Cardi B, it's gonna be another black woman.
But see, Cardi ain't even black.
She ain't even black. That's
She
true.
pretending to be black. That's the worst ones. They can be black when they want to. In 20 years, she'll be a Dominican old lady. She won't even be messing with no black folks. You won't even see her in the hood. She's gonna be pushing, going to get their little bodegas. That's the deepest part of that movement, right? Because they're black when they choose to be, right? But I like Cardi. I actually think that versus the other ones, the Nickies, the Lil Kim.
I was Megan Thee Stallion.
Megan Thee Stallion.
Nah, I like Megan Thee Stallion.
Cardi's actually having the things that she's actually talking about in her own New York way are valuable. The things that these others are talking about are not valuable. I'm not talking about rapping.
I was gonna say it couldn't have been in
It's not her lyrics.
No.
That's written by a man. It's when she
Say that again, please.
Her lyrics are written by men.
Okay,
All of them
thank you.
are written by men.
All right.
Very few of them actually write their own bars. Lauryn Hill, because when women write their own bars, they're positive for women. Just saying.
Yeah, and you can even tell when she's rapping, she's reading something she didn't write.
I mean, again, if you think that a woman would be talking about WAP on her own, you're crazy, because she would never call her sexual parts that. That's just stupid. But again, this is coming from men who call themselves niggas, so what can we expect?
Wow.
So, you know, I
Offset probably wrote that.
you know what I'm saying? You know what I'm saying? So I think that, which would be smart if he did, to keep the publishing in the family. So I've learned to appreciate her more, because there's a level of, it's like old Kanye. When Kanye was on there and he just said, George Bush don't love black people. That was true. That came from a true place. Yeah. Whether he knew George Bush or whatever, it came from a true place. I think Cardi is speaking from a true place. Whether it is like, yeah, she drugged some dudes and took their money, but she kind of telling you like, these dudes was prostituting us out too. They paying, you know. So there's a level of, once you messing with crime, is there a code in the crime? Like if I'm selling dope, right, and you rob me, we're selling drugs. Are there rules? There's no code to this shit.
Right.
It's like fighting. Oh, you put your thumb in my eye.
Yeah.
We were fighting, bro. There's no rules to this. Okay, it's fighting. It's not boxing.
Right.
Right? If you want boxing, put your gloves on. If you want fighting, I can hit you with anything.
Anything.
I don't have to use my hands at all, right? And it's all good, right? So I think that what we need is expression and acceptance, which is very difficult to get in poor environments because it's hard to, that's an elitist state of mind is that I have time to fix my inner self. That whole concept is elite because working class people don't have time for that shit, right? So when you come and say, oh, we need mental health, do we? Can we even afford mental health? We need it, but aren't we kind of like at the other side of this shit now?
Right.
Right? So I think in terms of like expression, that is the most important thing. Males are good. We need more males. Males that aren't creeps. Males that aren't touching children. Males who are not trying to get children to be drug dealers or drug mules. Males who are not going to prostitute children. So I know there's a lot of shitty males out here, but I think that our value in the community is incredibly large, and we need to accept that value. And it's not monetary. Most of these brothers ain't coming around because of bread. You ask any dude, you got a couple that just don't want to be fathers. You got a couple. You got a couple of just like lame ass whack dudes. I would say 70% of the dudes just because of the bread. And it's the bread and the way that baby mama treats them over the bread, right? Because clearly it was cool that one time they made some babies. There was some love, right? There was some fun. So I think that part of the issue is that these men have been run off, man, literally run off, and left these babies out here flapping in the wind, right? And we create, at least for me, I created programming so they could express themselves. I used the camera as a way for you to talk about what's going on in your hood. So that same girl who showed me the twerk video eventually made a video which was, it called it the Gauntlet. And then, y'all ever been to a gay club?
No.
All right. Went to the first gay club. I was in a gay roommate, 6'8" dude.
Sheesh.
Oh, dude, you want to know their sexuality, right, boy? Let them be around you. Because they bringing chicks, homie. But the dude in there competing with me, I was smashing all of them. see how,
You know what? Actually, I'm wrong. I went in one because this girl I was dating, she had gay friends. She said, "Yeah, I just want to go meet them real quick and then we can roll." I walked in, I walked right back out.
But what did you learn? They were aggressive, right?
No, don't get me wrong. I've had gay dudes hit on me.
Right. So dudes are aggressive when we interact with anything that we want.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
So for a girl, when you get off, you open the door of school, you go into your hallway, there's a gauntlet of male bullshit. And it continues all the way to your adulthood in the nightclub. You feel what I'm saying? So she created this video where the girls are walking down with a gauntlet of boys. And she used the words that boys refer to them as. That was powerful. At the end, the girl looks at the camera and she says, "Hey, I am not a bitch, I'm not a hoe. I'm beautiful, I'm smart." That's what we need, right? Because she knows she ain't no bitch or no hoe, but she's too afraid to go against the bitch hoe program because you'll get ostracized by the bitches and the hoes.
You know what? We need to talk about that for a quick second because you just said this young lady showed you a video of her twerking, and then you said she came back and showed you a piece of art that expressed how she really felt from the energy that she's been receiving. And the one thing that I caught, I don't know if you caught this, Willie, is when she showed him that video, that ain't the first time she done showed an adult video.
No, she was showing male teachers.
At 13.
And they were saying it's popping.
It's crazy.
And she was built like a grown woman, so she and the sad part about it is, like I said, what we did with our program was we identified basically the kids that are bullies.
They're hurting.
I would dare to say the biggest issue is that most bullies have a lot of adult responsibility on them when they're not at school. Right? When they come to school, they're now put in this like child position. But before that, they were waking drunk adults up. Get up, let's go to work, mama. Getting babies together, feeding, took themselves, got them here. So I think a lot of times our children do so many adult things that when we bring them into high school or junior high, you're actually putting them in a situation that they actually have not been in since they were like 10 years old.
Wow.
So you'd be better off dealing with them like an adult. So when I dealt with them, you couldn't, I had simple rules. You couldn't bring no weapons in here. You couldn't use no hate words. You cuss. It's an art form. Where's art? It's expression, freedom of speech, man. I ain't here to tell you, oh, you stubbed your toe. Fuck. I'm not gonna stop you from saying that word. Because you're in an environment where there's guns and drugs and murder. You're an adult. You're just in a little body. You just haven't lived your life, your age does not match your life experiences. It's like fucked up. Okay. So the first mistake is these teachers, well, why don't they line up? What the fuck does that matter? Tell me one time at your job where lining up was asked of you. Only in prison institutions do the following directions matter. So you guys are preparing these children to go to prison and institutions. I'm preparing them to be bosses. So that's why they said, no, I ain't gotta do that, because you don't have to. You don't have to do none of that stuff. What you gotta do is finish your goal. That's what success is.
It is.
Finish your goal. So we created situations, and then I wouldn't let them tell me, you can't shoot no comedies. I don't want to laugh at you. That's all we do is laugh at you. All of America laughs at your misery. That's the news. So you got the substance. No twerking. No. Look, if you're gonna give me a rap, you can give me a rap song. I'm not against a rap song, rap video. Better have some dope lyrics, though. You're gonna have to turn in your lyrics before you get to shoot over here. I got to read them. Right, so we created a situation where they were treated like I would treat any grown artist.
Let's talk about Cinema City.
Okay.
Because that in and of itself is a multifaceted vision that is going to, just like you said, as far as art, is going to provide. In fact, why don't you go ahead and tell the audience first, me trying to tell what Cinema City is.
I guess the pitch we use is that Cinema City is a mixed-use development that is anchored by a soundstage. The best way to say it is it's a form of urban renewal, right? We looked at, for me, it was how do I teach people, right? My mom's teacher, my aunts are all teachers. Everybody in my family is a damn teacher. They didn't teach you, they're a cop, they're a cop, they're a gangster. That's my family. So I wanted to teach, and then you realize that nobody's going to give you money to teach. That's not true. They'll give you little bits of money, but it won't be sustainable. And so I kept trying to figure out how to create something sustainable. We then met with various wealthy people, and we began to realize that what Cleveland had that was special, it had opportunity zones, which allow you to take capital gains taxes and put them in urban areas. It was designed to create economy in urban areas. It's mostly used for making apartment buildings, right? Which is not what it was designed for. The next thing that Cleveland has and the state of Ohio has is a film tax incentive of 30%. So what we did was we said, okay, we're gonna marry the opportunity zone, we're gonna marry the tax incentive to gain leverage for minority people to get jobs, right? And it goes back to a day we met with the film commission. This was 2 commissioners ago, I think. And then I'd asked why black people were not, and when I say black, it's a very loose term with me. You've been to my house.
You go, Willie?
I see black as being people that are blacklisted. Our culture, we're African Americans, obviously.
Right.
Our ancestors come from Africa, right? But black only exists in America. You're not black anywhere else.
Right.
Ain't nobody else gonna call you black. Ain't nobody gonna call you African American when you get off that plane. It's gonna be you in America. And they're gonna treat you as such. They treat them Africans way different. You go to Dubai, you're gonna see some horrible shit, how they treat them Africans. And them Filipinos. Basically, anybody that's brown gets a bad stick. So we looked at how do we create jobs. So the first thing you have to do is create an economic anchor. We looked at the film industry as being recession-proof, and then we also began to study the stages and their occupancy rate. So right now, before COVID, stages were 98% filled across the world. right? Some of them are booked for years in advance and not even being used. So we knew that the rental part of it would work. We knew that there was a tax incentive, and then we also knew that there was opportunity because there's not a lot of infrastructure here. So when you create tax incentives, the point of creating it is to leverage either A, the booming of infrastructure, B, the initiating of infrastructure, C, capitalizing on existing infrastructure. Cleveland had none of those, right? It has a fledgling infrastructure community. It has tons of artists, beautiful directors, beautiful writers, beautiful producers, beautiful actors. Does not have a lot of infrastructure because, number one, it's a theater town. So the people that really know are not in film. They're in other forms of visual arts, right? So there's been a level of, we've just focused on what we would call above the line and courting above the line people. Most above the line people are college people. They are the top, we'll break it in thirds. I always try to keep the math in thirds. They're the top 1/3 of our population, you know, CSU, Baldwin Wallace, you know, you name it, Ohio State. Anyone that is going to be a director, probably a producer, probably a legit actor, has gone on to do something on a collegiate level, even if for just a year, right? You may have gone to Juilliard, that's still a higher education school.
Right.
But reality of it is most of the industry is labor. Like 75, 80% of the film industry and television industry is just laborers, people who did not go to college, people who, like our ancestors, did carpentry, painted, did electrical, did drywall, you know. So we looked at that as being what Cleveland needs. I don't need to come here and foster the next Spike Lee. CSU's doing that. I don't need to come in here and foster the next Denzel Washington. Baldwin Wallace is doing that. I am here to foster the next great gaffer. You know, that dude is good with them lights. He must be from Cleveland. You know, and I say that to say, we have men coming home from vacation. We have men coming out of school who are trying to avoid vacation. We have to give them something that does not require going to college. It does not require, number one, debt. Number two, passion. Right? Because to be an artist, you gotta be passionate about it. Because you're never gonna make no damn money. You're just gonna be passionately making things. So to be a laborer, you need access. And there was always this back and forth argument between myself and different executives here who were somewhat in control of certain parts of the film industry about why Black people and women were not being included very much. And they hit me with the, we don't have enough set hours. That's true. You know, some things are. If you're gonna go get surgery, you want the dude that's been cutting on bodies all the time.
No rookie.
Right. So I think we have to be careful as minorities to demand entryway for rookies. Right. We want to demand entryway for vets, and the rookies can come behind. Right. If we let the rookies hop over these vets, then you're gonna ruin your chance. Because they're gonna go in and fuck it all up. But you know how they do it. You mess the room up, they close the door. No more of y'all. You done came and messed up the room, right? And I can name 1,000,000 times when this has happened, right? So I think that part of it was, we're gonna focus on laborers and allowing Black people entryway to the labor skill set. What that means is, when the studio itself is at full capacity, so we'll hold probably 3 to 4 TV shows. Each TV show will carry anywhere from 100 to 200 pieces of labor, right? So that's roughly about 1,000 jobs if you include food support and other things. We're here to train those 1,000 people. Those jobs average $100,000 a year. That's a $100 million economic impact on the city of Cleveland. It's taxable income for Black people in the hood. That's it. If you make more money, you will make better choices. Most of the choices that are being made are out of desperation because they broke. We've all been there. I told somebody the lowest moment in my life was that I was down to $60,000 and was stressed about money. And me and my man was gonna flip this. And I remember my homie was like, dude, that'll get you like 30 years. I said, I'm good. I'll just be broke. Understand, I'm sitting with 60 grand. But the mind of money will have you believe that that's not real money. I got homies that's on drugs because they didn't make 10 million this year, but they made $400,000 that year of taxable income. And this dude over here talking about, woe is me, he made 400 grand. Like, you forgot you was from Red Hook, New Jersey. You forgot where you're from. So we understand the economics of the film industry. We're trying to apply it to urban areas, right? And create entryway. Now, you got the studio, which is about 200,000 square feet. It's got office space, got warehouse space, got all that stuff. But the most important thing of all of Cinema City's deal is the Innovation Center. Because Innovation Center is how we get trained. It's how we incubate businesses. It's how we will allow Clevelanders to participate in what we do, right? The key is to create the labor that supports the studio. Either way, the studio is going to make money because they'll bring all those people from LA if they have to. We're trying to create a situation where our people are trained first in line. Most importantly, our people have had all of these things such as soft skill training, because we have an epidemic here of lack of soft skills. We have 360 services, so we'll watch your kid, we'll pay you to learn. It's not just come learn something and pay for it. How can I ask you if you broke in the hood to pay $4-5 grand to learn how to hang some lights? I should pay you to come learn so your babies can eat. Because ain't nobody selling drugs to feel cool, they sell drugs to feed their babies. And if you know any real drug dealer, you know they sold them drugs to feed them babies. Then they be turned into the dude with all the jewelry. But first, it was very simple. Mama, babies. I got this ounce. I'm gonna cook it. I can get 3,500 off that ounce. Okay, I'm gonna put 5 over here for some rent. I'm gonna put 5 with the baby mama over here. I got some back child support. And before you know it, you got a couple hundred. Then you go buy your fit. That's every dope dude, man. That shit ain't changed. They do it to take care of their families. And before you know it, that dope dude is taking care of half the hood, right? This is the same thing for me. I took the same mindset of east side of Cleveland corner to the film industry, right? If I set up shop in the hood, I train these cats to handle the work, I put the work on the streets, these cats will eat, crime will go down, housing prices will go up, the hood now has value.
Ecosystem.
Man. And it's based on a recession-proof situation.
And I think that's like, because this is a trade. And
Go ahead.
remember I was saying, like, take trades out of school, you took a lot of purpose out of school.
They knew what they was doing.
Yeah, but trades are in suburban schools. Talked to a cat I work with, he's like, no, we still got trades in our school. I was like, really? We don't have that in public school no more. You teach somebody, they may want to be like, I remember my uncle coming in with the little one thing on. There was a carpenter, there was a plumber. That's trades that they learned in school. You gotta go to college and spend millions and thousands of dollars to get in debt for that. Everybody that graduated, you know what I'm saying? Everybody that graduated ain't gonna go to college. That don't make you a failure.
No, college don't make you a success. I know plenty of bartenders with bachelor's degrees.
But people feel like that though. They feel like in a lot of, in our community too, it's you kind of push that narrative that if you don't go to college, if you don't get that degree, if you don't get that piece of paper, then it's like, what are you doing out here?
This is all I'll say about college. If being a dentist is an auto body repairman for your mouth, ain't no difference. He's using sanding, he's using painting, he's using Bondo. It's in your mouth. That's the difference, okay? So if you have to do a specialty like that, you should go to college. I think everyone should go to college for at least 1 year for critical thinking. Because you got my uncles who are carpenters, painters, right? They make a lot of money doing that. When it comes to critical thinking though, that's not their stick, so they're afraid of paperwork.
But that's, to me too, that could also be another avenue because you hardly see like little hardware shops in the neighborhood no more. You hardly see that's another, you take them away, not only do you take away purpose, you take away black owned business. And like we say, if you got a black owned business, who you gonna hire? You hire somebody that look like you, just like the other communities too. They hire people that look like them. So
you ain't about to let Becky work for you.
No, you go up and down Superior, like I'm sure, like I don't see it now, but my uncle tell me you see hardwood shops, you see the little.
It was all black, bro.
Yeah,
I'm trying to tell you, most of my raising, black. When I went to Twinsburg, the first time I saw, okay, there was some West Side kids that was bust over. They was Puerto Ricans. They wasn't busting no real Becky's over here. Come on now. They was them light Puerto Ricans over here. But beyond that, I never really seen it. Every store we went into, black. If you bought your stuff with some black people. Now,
the only thing black we got left, bro, is barbers.
Barbers and food. You have a lot of food spaces.
Food.
Now, what I will say that has changed is that what scares me right now is we don't demand black excellence. We just demand that it's black.
Mm-hmm.
I'm sorry, that ain't enough for me.
I got a million stories.
That's another thing to where it goes.
Places here with bad service.
Bro, let me tell you something.
Bad attitudes. Okay.
I went to Saks a couple days ago. Now, Saks is pretty high end, right?
I grew up in Saks.
Okay, so
my mother's first cosmetology job was in Saks.
Okay. So I went to Saks, ready to spend some money, right? You know me and Zach into the.
I know.
Yeah, you know.
Be looking right, smelling right.
Yeah, man. So I go to the counter, and I get this very, like, you're bothering me type of attitude.
Mm-hmm.
And it just goes into what you're saying, man. It's just like that whole customer service part of our businesses. Yes, we have a lot of black-owned business. I think you said that a lot of black-owned business started
during the pandemic. Yeah.
But the customer service aspect of it, my goodness.
Well, think of it this way. Your mom made dinner. Who told you to tell your mom thank you?
My grandmother, my father. Yeah.
See, the father's point is dumb things. And somebody asked me, my wife runs the house, you've been over there.
Mm-hmm.
Someone says, well, what do? I'm the red button. You ain't call me when you want nuclear weapons. Either it be love of nuclear weapons, whatever it is, that's what fathers are there for. We just sit there waiting.
Boy, hold on, Willie, why you laughing?
It's so funny you say that because my wife was like, she texted me like, the kids don't want to ask you nothing. They only want to ask me because they feel like you just gonna reject them. I'm not gonna reject them, but it's like it's a good cop, bad cop.
Yeah, that's right.
When you come to me, you need to make sure you got all your ducks in a row.
That's right.
You're not gonna pull nothing. It's just gonna be a yes. I'm gonna ask why this. All right, my son. Even now, my son asked me for something. I never get it to him right then and there.
Nope.
Never.
Nobody will. The world won't.
Thank you.
So
but women, a lot of women don't understand. It's not that I'm being mean. It's just that no, I'm not. No, hold on. Let's go do this. Or how bad did you want it? Did you try to do it? Did you try to figure it out? Like. It's a different mindset raising. As I get older, I realize it's different. It's a different mindset raising black boys. So do you have?
I think yes. I think male. It's because they're males. Period.
Mm-hmm.
They're just they're hard. But I also believe that our job. Just take some lions, man. Look at some lions. Look at the cubs. How have you ever seen a male lion feed them cubs?
I would never.
No.
When that cub out of line, what do he do? All on that ass. Yeah. All on it. And they know, oh, big dog man. So I think that is our purpose in society. It doesn't mean they can't move, or it doesn't mean you can't cook.
You're supposed to have that not even fear, but you're supposed to have that mom say, I'm gonna go get that before she get the whole word. Like, all right, no, okay.
Yeah,
and that's where it's kind of, it lacks now. Like my sons, they don't want to hear, I'm gonna go call your dad, or I'm gonna go get your dad. Like they don't want to hear that. You hear that, like, all right, never mind, I'm good. And they're straighten up right now.
Yep. And I guarantee you, as they become men, you will see the difference in their lives. Like I have a 25-year-old son, and it's an interesting experience when you're a child. Starts to realize you're not that bad of a guy. So now he's starting to realize, like, man, my dad's kind of cool. He does a bunch of cool shit. He travels, But for most of his life, he thought I was the biggest asshole in the world. He was, I don't know how you have friends, man. I don't know how anybody got friends, man. Like, I'm fun, dude. I'm cool, actually. I'm just about getting you into the world with the least amount of cuts. See, if I don't teach you limitations, they have a mechanism that does.
Mm-hmm.
They give you time out. That's what that is. That's what prison is, time out. Right?
And it takes time away.
I mean, dude, time out when you're little, go in the corner, right?
Yeah.
Before you know it, you're a teenager, you get detention, you in the corner. Before you know it, nobody wants to deal with you. So they bring in the real motherfuckers to deal with you. Now you in prison.
One time.
If you'd have just had a daddy, he didn't have it all this, man. My son wanted some soda. And my wife had been giving him soda all night. And truth be told, he drank all the soda. He said, I want some more soda! I came down the step, slid on through the kitchen, was like, hey homie, look at the wall. You just don't talk to your mother like that. I don't, so there's a level of, like you talked about, we build the way that the world is created through just nature, right? There are mechanisms along the way to stop things. Beavers build dams naturally to stop water from going wherever it wants to go, right? The father builds dams naturally to stop the babies from going wherever they want to go and figure out what's the best place for them to go. Now, is it easy? No, man. I mean, the thing we're doing, we started off 2 years ago with the studio thing. You know who the hardest people to convince are? Black people, poor people, people who need it the most. But what are you getting out of it? Nothing. You gotta be getting something. Why don't you say that when you go ask for that welfare? When you sign your baby's daddy, when you sign my homie up, because you mad at him, he go down, he got this child support on him, they hit him 30 days. You don't never once question their reasons for doing it. But we said we're gonna build something in the middle of the hood. First thing all our black people mouth is, who y'all with? Who you with? Why I gotta be with somebody? Then it's, how you gonna get the money? Then it's, oh, you work for that white man. Why I gotta work for him? Why can't he work for me? Well, did you come with this idea? Yeah. Did you write this business plan? Yeah. You did? Yeah. I wrote the textbooks too. And the quizzes. And the curriculum. Why are we questioning about our intellectual abilities? And why do we believe as black people you can judge your intellectual abilities by the outfit you got on?
Conditioning.
And then you go over to these Republican cats who they say hates the hood and hates it. And I'm not Democrat nor Republican, I'm an artist, so I don't care about either party. I think if you join clubs, you're a fool. Because every place that's poor is under Democratic control. Every place black people are broke is under Democratic control. Just think about that. So I don't think either side is really down for poor people because they're run by a bunch of rich people. So it doesn't matter about race or any of those things. It's about power.
And you know they getting something out of it. You know they're not doing it for free. But you just said something because Willie does this. Willie will be out in the suburbs. He'll think twice before he throws a piece of paper on the ground. But just yesterday he was in the hood and he had a piece of wrapping and he just threw it on the ground. Willie, why do you do stuff like that, man?
Well, that did not happen. But I have caught myself, but I think we don't respect our own.
No.
You know, it's just, you get used to an environment, but you know when you outside of that environment, it's just different. You know not to do that. It's like the lack of respect that we have for our own. Our own.
So what you're saying is you don't respect your own?
No, I didn't.
We don't fear our own.
We don't fear our own.
See, we fear, we're not throwing that trash down because we respect them more than us, right? It's because they got them dudes who put you in that jury for throwing that paper on the ground or peeing, because you know eyes is on you because you stand out as a thumb on a hand in them suburbs.
Well, right. Let me delve into that point for a second, because this is something I'll talk about. You said that we don't respect them more or less, but why is it that we switch up?
We fear them.
When we around, I'm not even talking about the police though. I'm talking about other cultures, not even white, Indian, Chinese,
We
Japanese.
fear every culture for several reasons. Number one, we do not travel beyond 6 blocks in any direction as people, as urbanites, right? Second off, we believe that everything we were taught in school, like all of this etiquette shit. So somehow we believe that they know which fork is a salad fork automatically. They know how to use chopsticks automatically, right? And then there are again this weird belief that Black culture can be wiped off, right? Like one dude told, we were hanging out, I had a roommate from Japan and he didn't speak a lot of English, but he knew every rap lyric. Think about this.
Yeah.
So he spoke through rap music. So he might say a lyric to a song because he wanted a 40. He wanted to go drink, right? And the homie, but how do y'all get up? I was like, he know more about us. Homie, he got a 6'4". He date Black women. We stood back then, he wearing the purple Patrick Ewing. He got the purple Patrick Ewing's on, starter coats. So according to what you say is Black, he knows all about that shit. That's what you're saying, right? We have to deal with being uncomfortable better.
I wanna take us home with this because this is one of the. We criticize each other a lot for the things we don't do, and we don't shine enough light on the things that we actually do. So, for example, we've had this conversation before about leaving the hood and coming back and giving back to the hood, right? You lived in LA for 20 plus years, right? Which, something you just said, most of us don't ever leave the 6-block radius. We don't ever, most of us don't travel, and I'm specifically speaking of men, because you got a lot of Black women that do travel.
They kick it. Men are in trouble.
Yeah, but Black men, we don't really travel, we don't really move away, we don't really experience the rest of what God has created. But the fact that you came back to give back to your people, to the area that you came from, to create opportunities for them, that is what you call leaving a legacy. And I just want to know why? What the hell made you want to come back to this? Because look, man, I'm gonna tell you one of my most heartbreaking moments, and this has to do with film, and it's a very real moment. When they filmed Queen and Slim here, and I listened to what's the young lady that directed it?
What are you talking about?
Yeah, you know what I'm talking about.
Waif.
Yeah, I listened to Lena talk about how they picked Cleveland as a filming location. You saw the movie, and she said what made us pick that first scene is we were on St. Clair. First of all, the crew didn't want to come to Cleveland at all.
Of course not.
They did not want to come. Said when they filmed that first scene, they said within an hour, 6 people got stopped by the police.
Yep.
And within that hour, one of them was that gray Honda. And so that's why they put that in there. But seeing my city, bro, all the torn down houses, all the abandoned houses, and I'm just like, this really, and I'm sitting in the movie theater with my girl watching this, knowing that this is my city and it still looks like that. And you made a decision as a filmmaker to come back, and I want you to close us out and talk about what caused you to make that decision, put time and energy out of your life when you could be doing a million other things. You could be around the world doing amazing things, but you chose Cleveland.
A couple things. I'll say 3 things happened in my life, and I'll name off all 3 to kind of give you clarity. The first thing was I had an opportunity to work with Tyrese for a long time. And whatever you may feel about Tyrese, I saw him employ more Black people than any celebrity I've ever seen in my life. And purposely do it. Like purposely putting Black people on and trying to empower you. Now, if you weren't able to handle the responsibility of the power, that was your deal. But I think the first thing was me watching how he did that and then saying, okay, I should be doing more of that, right? The second thing was, my niece will probably hate me for this. I was on the phone with my niece one day talking about having the Black experience, and she said, your children don't have the Black experience. And I said, well, yeah, they do. You know, she goes, you live in the hills of Burbank. You're the only Black person on your block. You may know the other 5 Black dudes in your school system, and y'all may have your children with each other, but your kids are not even close to having a black experience, right? So that led me to sit down with particularly my oldest daughter. So my son is an artist. He does music. I don't know if he's purpose driven. My daughter seems to show signs of being purpose driven. And I realized that in order for them to have a purpose, I have to show them a purpose. So I wanted to show them me sacrificing things to help people who I was never going to meet. I think that is very important that we as people of color, my children are very tan. LA makes you very tan. And they eat sushi, they know about 50 million different religions, you know, everyone's kumbaya and clap for them. I love my kids because of that. But they were not having the black experience. And if you are not having the black experience, you will be naked in this world. And once you are naked in this world, you will be hurt. So Cleveland gave me the ability to say, yeah, man, I'm gonna get on this plane. I ain't gonna plane, we drove out. I drove out to California with a bunch of dudes in the car, didn't know anybody. But that's because I'm from Cleveland. I'm from the east side, you know what I mean? I'm from Kinsman. I believe in how we rock. And if you go anywhere in this world, you will meet Clevelanders.
Oh, hell yeah.
That's the funniest thing about it.
We are everywhere like
we get it in.
Yeah, we go everywhere.
So I think that it's important that when you are, I wouldn't, you know, I don't know how, I don't define success by having a lot of money or not having a lot of money. What I'll say is success is when you can do what you want to do. So when you reach a point in your life where you're gonna bring in that $250,000 every year, no matter what you do, you're gonna do hot shit no matter what you do. Your money is good no matter what you do. Then find a purpose.
So why not Atlanta? That's black Mecca for film right now.
It's already done. It's not about a Mecca. It's not about, I don't need to go and be at the cool table. I'm already cool.
I like that.
You know, I'm already fresh. So I gotta find why we got a beautiful kid. I done kicked it, I done done it, I had everything. It's coming to a place that has meaning for me, right? So, number one, Northern blacks and Southern blacks, two different movements. What they doing in Atlanta, they've been working on that for a very long time. It's just now got to be an epicenter. That shit been going on since Rosa Parks got on that bus.
So just like you building it here had to be built.
Somebody got to do it. Somebody got to at least go out and fail.
Yeah.
You know, we made, like, we had a talk. Somebody, my homie ran up on me. He was like, man, I heard you got $40 million. And he patted me. I said, man, that ain't my pockets. I said, it doesn't work like that. It is, we still have to close that deal.
Do you got $40 million?
We got $40 million, though. We got $40 million.
Oh, Jesus.
Out of 45, we got 40 raised. We done raised $40 million.
Man.
So,
Had to ask that real quick.
No, it's legit. Like, we have the thing that, like I said, the thing that we need to learn the most about is that the world is driven by great ideas. It is not. People get confused, and a rich dude will play you and tell you it's not. He'll tell you it's the money and all that, but money don't have no movement. Currency is supposed to flow. Currency has no flow without ideas. It sits still when there are no ideas. That means that he can't make any more. The greatest thing on earth are ideas. We as artists, particularly people of color, got to know that because we're idea people. So we have all the gold, right? The machines to mine the gold is how they make their money. So yeah, we put together $40 million over a 2-year period. We got 25 acres of land that's 40 yards from Lake Erie. Everything that they told me I couldn't do 2 years ago, I did. Check the box. I didn't join no clubs. I didn't join no political parties. I didn't sell my people out. I play with everybody, Republican, Democrat, black, white, green, purple. Do you care about poor folks? That's my barometer. If you love poor people, I fucks with you. If you believe that those poor people are a they or a them, it's hard for me to rock with you, man. Because we are them. We are they. We just a generation away. So yeah, man, we got 40 million in the bag. We got clothes on 4. We got some other pieces to take care of, but yeah, we got 40 million promised from investors and investment banks.
That's awesome.
I'm one black man.
All right, so this is a question I love to ask. And I love to hear people's reaction. If you can go back in time, knowing what you know now, if you can go back to the young, 6 foot you, lanky, what would be your advice? Knowing what you know now, if you just go back and have a talk with that gentleman, what would you tell him?
Try to enjoy it. I've seen so much. I've lived several lives. I've been shot 3 times. I've lived a lot of lives, player. My man just finished his first movie. And we get on the phone, and he's doing what all movie people do when we finish something is, what's the deal? You know, distribution, I'm trying to get to these parties, got the agent calling me. And I said, man, stop for a minute. Because you just did something special. The biggest mistake I've made is I take for granted God's blessings. I am highly favored. You see, 15-year-old drug addicted father, I'm still here, right? And got in trouble, still survived it. Went to college, played ball. I mean, I'm a very lucky person. I made movies when people said I couldn't make movies. I don't got no rich family, you know what I mean? And I've never had a hit. I keep making movies, right? So I think that, if anything, for everyone, stop for a moment. It's okay to smile. It's okay to just be like, yeah, Willie, you did something dope today. It could just be the birth of your child. I just don't think we stop, because as black people, we work so hard to just get so little, right? You know, that we don't stop to congratulate ourselves and congratulate each other. So if there's anything, I look back and say, look, man, it's okay to smile once in a while. It's okay to brag a little bit, just a little bit. You know, don't be arrogant and pompous, but I never stopped and thought about it. I just kept moving forward. So even when people like with sports, the most I've talked about football in 30 years is today. I never talk about it. I never talk about any of that shit. Unless someone brings, like, a dude came up to me and was like, is it true you averaged 11 yards a carry your senior year? I said, yeah.
Whoa. How many?
11. Didn't even play a fourth quarter my whole senior year. Never had more than 18 carries in a game.
God,
So
man.
when I tell you, boy, I was getting them though. When I ran that 4-4 on them, they saw that 4-4, they was like, this dude run a 4-4.
You run a 4-4?
Yeah, I ran a 4-4.
Man, 11 yards a pop. Oh
Come
my
on.
God.
So I think that, again, I didn't stop. I enjoyed it. I didn't even know that stat till my kid told me.
I've been enjoying the hell out of that.
Because again, it's happening to you. And if you've been raised the way we've been raised, you'd be surprised how you would just keep moving forward, trying to get to your goal, man. I think I knew that in order for me to get to be a filmmaker, all that shit was just water, man. Just ride it to get you to the beach. And every time I messed up, I just went back into the water. Try to get to another beach, you know. But I'm really lucky, and I try to tell people that too, is that you have to prepare for luck. I prepare for opportunity. I obsessively prepare, like ungodly amounts of preparation. I write things down on an incredible level.
Do you do like have you ever done like a vision board?
Tons. Let me tell you something.
My wife got me
Vision
on that.
boards.
Yeah.
I will notes.
Yep.
Okay, what we call personal ditties, right? Of notes to self. I write notes to my children in my phone, so when I'm gone, they can learn game of, yeah, when daddy was 26, he was at Joshua T. taking shrooms with a billionaire, and the billionaire told him how money moved. And I said, damn, it changed my life. Because if you met the dude, he was in some flip-flops, some raggedy clothes, and everybody was, I said, what y'all doing to this dude? And motherfucker's a billionaire. I said, what's that?
Mm.
He goes, that's more than $1 million. I said, oh, you got that much money? Went over and asked him, what's up with that? He said, man, money means nothing. Happiness. That dude made Cirque du Soleil.
Wow.
I got one more, and it's about us. The one I we're artists. We're starting this, doing this podcast. What would be your advice to us moving forward?
And we talked a little bit about it. Number one, keep your costs to the least amount of cost possible. Number two, you want a directional mic, not a VO mic. Number three, plan out 10 years ahead. Treat it like you run a newsroom. Don't treat it like, yeah, I'm gonna come fuck with you because you're the homies or whatever. But treat it like you have something, and it will be treated as though you do have something. So this is the new news. So if it were me, I would be saying, hey Marquette, you know any old reporter dudes that could help you? I heard your dad's a reporter. So I would go and slowly piece together journalists behind you. Right, because you guys are not journalists, you're talent. So the journalists will put together your shows, your writing, your questions, all your pieces, right? In theory, we do the same thing. I'm a documentarian, so I do the same thing, right? So first I would try to figure out, what is my brand 10 years from now? I think talking about Black culture, that's a great start. I think that's 15% of the margin, what we talked about before. So you have 85% of the market that's still existing. That's why when I say Black, I mean people that's blacklisted. If you on that list with me, come on in here, let's talk about this shit. Because you have the same relation, it's just different terminology.
Sure.
Right? And then slowly work your brand backwards from what your 5 or 10 year plan is, whatever your goal may be. If your goal is to be the Joe Rogan of Black culture knowledge, which is a great goal, then that's where you start, and then you reverse engineer from there.
Okay.
Right? Because you can see that. You can see where he is. The hardest part is to see where you are right now. The landscape in front of you is the most difficult. That's why you reverse engineer it, so you can kind of chart it the way a marketing person would, right? Next, this is a great environment for you. I wouldn't change this. I wouldn't spend any fucking money. If there's anything, do not try your best to. I read up about the guy who did Silk Road. You guys know who that is?
I don't know who he is.
That's a dark web shit, right? So this dude at one point in time was making like $500,000 a week. He was doing his whole shit from the library, coffee shops. You couldn't even know this cat. That's how I like to rock. So I think that in a way, I can connect you guys with some PR people. If you want to expand your net, then you start contacting PR companies who are sending you people, because you can't rely totally on you guys just meeting people, right? What you want to do is start catching people that are coming through town for things. And they're required to do a certain amount of press when they're in town, whether they like it or not, right? The PR person who's with them is probably not from this region, so they need to find people in the region to put their talent on, right? And I mean, dude, you can get a dude like D.L. Hughley who's coming through here for comedy. You come do your show, and now you corral his social media fans, right? So I would do a myriad of people that you guys actually believe in because it's purpose driven, and I would bring in ringers that were coming to town who somewhat seem like they overlap with your mantra, and then I would keep expanding it, and then I would move into a room right over here, and I'd stick Song Dong Fao. He'd be telling the Asian experience. And I'd move one room over, and I'd have Jose. He'd be telling, I would take your format and then and just keep turning, and keep turning it for each group. You got the equipment, right? I would just have the equipment running all damn day for each group, right? Take some of the hardest part as artists. You're moving into business. Business is based on quantity, not quality. McDonald's would not exist if quality mattered. I
love
McDonald's.
You're absolutely right, bro.
Yeah,
You're absolutely right.
I would say that
1 billion sold.
man, burgers that are thin like paper.
Yeah.
So I would, if it were me and I were you guys, number one, this is my man, so whatever y'all did, I fuck with you. So I can, all day long, we can sit down and really talk it out. But initially, I would say you have a platform, clearly somebody's watching it or listening to it, or else you wouldn't be doing it, right? So I would just replicate your format because that's your intellectual property. Your intellectual property is not the stuff you guys say on here. It's the way you format this show when you complete it. Then I would just replicate that for everybody, put them on the same equipment, same everything, and have everybody pushing shows underneath your banner.
Free game.
Yeah.
Once I get a spot, I'll move y'all into that spot and give y'all a bunch of rooms. That's my plan with you, with him, which brings you. You bring kids up.
Thank you, man. Appreciate it.
It's the Black Culture Podcast, you know.
Yeah, well, I think also too, black people do not sit and do what I call good business with each other, right? We take money from each other, we compete with each other, but we don't sit down and just blatantly try to help someone's business succeed. I don't need to make no bread. Please go be successful so that I can say I knew you. That's a great honor, just to say you knew those people.
Oh, absolutely. And speaking of such, we always ask every guest how we can help what they're doing, whether it's getting the word out. Obviously, we provide this platform for our audience, and we do have those that listen and they'll hit us up like, man, that was a great episode. We already know this is going to be a great episode. But Cinema City, as creatives, how can we assist in the launch of that and the success of that?
I mean, I think because I haven't lived here, I don't know anybody, and you know how I am. I really don't like meeting people.
Right.
So that's what LA does to you. You wanna know what it does? It fucks your chi up. You met so many shitty motherfuckers that you decide that you just can't have no more shitty motherfuckers in your life. So you need your homies to filter them. So you're like, all right, that's a shitty motherfucker because my chi is just getting right. And it is. I can feel it. Finding it's a healthy place. So I would say right now, it's more of we're gonna do a fundraiser in August, so definitely would love to figure out some help for that. But honestly, how do we build together? Who are the people that should be in this space that you guys think are credible, right? Who are the stakeholders? Who are the if you were building something, who are the black people you would want there? Who are the Latinos you would want there? Who are the white folks you'd want there? That is probably the greatest help that I need, is really understanding how to help. Building innovation, building these things, putting these things in motion, you still have to deliver it, right? If I show up on campus when it's all said and done, there's nothing but a bunch of white millennials, that just ain't gonna make me happy. It won't disappoint me, because I think that those white millennials are the future of this country, and they're the first ones who will allow us entryway on our terms. In the history of America, these are the first white folks that'll let you be you. But I still feel like in 6 years of owning a studio in LA, I only got 3 resumes from black people. Black-owned studio. So we're still only moving in circles where someone co-signs for us to move. So therefore, in order for me to meet those people, you guys have to co-sign them, or else they won't come to me. They'll think they're not worthy in some weird kind of messed up way. And so if there's anything I need help with, is that. Who are the outliers? Who are the people we should do business with? What type of events should we be having? It's like I went to the Ray Jr. screening. Is that, I'm about to screen this horror movie we just did, so I need help with figuring that out. I've lived in LA longer than I lived here. So I literally don't know anything or anyone. I barely knew how to get here thanks to GPS. And right when I got I said, oh, he needs a library right there. You feel what I'm saying? But so it's more about how do we blend things together and support each other. I'm about the collective. So it's really trying to get that collective together. I need help with that.
Okay, done. And that's one of the beautiful things about this is we get introduced. So what was that, 2 weeks ago, we interviewed the largest minority-owned credit union, the CEO and the board chair, right here, and they were telling us all about the stuff that they're doing.
That's what I like to meet people like that.
Oh yeah, and that's one of the benefits of this platform. We get recommended people, and it's crazy because at one time, I'm sure podcasting wasn't popular, but now if you ask somebody, hey, or you tell somebody that you co-host a podcast or you have a podcast, it's like telling them you hit the lotto.
Well, you guys you're bringing information towards people who don't like to read, and people who are not trusting.
Yeah.
Right? And I think podcasts, blogs, I think they're all the way with the future. There's just no barometer yet. So that's why I said you guys could easily set up multiple channels because you're creating your own barometer. Right? There's no, is it 30 minutes? Is it 2 hours? Is it 15 minutes? Is it, once that gets flushed out, it's going to keep people out the game. But right now, it's the Wild West of podcasting.
Oh, yeah.
But once they figure out a format that everybody has to use, they're trying to. If you think what's happening with Nick Cannon and these dudes and all that smoke, those are all corporate programming. They're all in your space right now. And they're making it they're making it look like they're poor. Like, look at Joe Budden. That's what that is, right? He's over at Revolt, right? He's at the Revolt studio where he's shooting, right?
Oh, he is.
That shit look fat as fuck up in there. The worst place is his set. The worst place in Revolt TV is Joe Budden's goddamn set. They made that shit look shitty. That's what makes it dope. Yeah, I'm sure. Is that the I'm Athlete?
No, that's the one where the people from Wild 'N Out with Nick Cannon, the DC Young Fly, and the other two, Chico Bean, the other two, their whole set, and I think they with Black Effect now.
Okay.
But their whole set is kind of like old looking though. But now I don't know if that's the route they were going.
I think they doing it on purpose. Yeah. It's like there was a time, and even today it's still there was a time in independent film where you had studios making independent movies, right? So it looked like it's a low budget movie, but it's got like A-list actors in it. So the actors cost more than a goddamn movie. So the same thing happening in podcasts. If ESPN is fucking with it, y'all should know it's cracking.
Marquette, how can the people reach you? How can they
oh
learn
shit,
more
we're still
about
on this thing. You can, to be honest with you, you cannot reach me.
This dude is not on social media at all.
Okay, you can honestly, we're slowly getting comfortable with putting up websites now because so many people know about it. I'm a firm believer that when you're doing something for a purpose, you don't advertise it because that takes away from what it's really for. It's not about Marquette. But if you want to actually talk to me, I would say the easiest way is to find me on LinkedIn or hit me up on the gram. It's Marquette JW. Those are probably the only ways that I'll actually respond, to be truthful.
All right. Another one for the books. Willie, you got any housekeeping?
Oh no, I'm good.
Well, if y'all haven't already, make sure you like and subscribe to the channel on YouTube. Also listen to the podcast, Apple, Google, Spotify. Follow us, Facebook, Instagram, LinkedIn, Twitter, and TikTok. And you can find all those links at blackculturepodcast.com. And if you would like to support the podcast, you can also hit us up on Cash App at $, Black Culture Podcast. Special guest today. Really want to thank you for your time, man. Willie, always the Willie Ashford.
Sorry, my man Price.
The Black Culture Podcast. Peace.